Good afternoon. Welcome to the weekly TreasuryONE update with me, Wichard Cilliers, Head of Market Risk. Today, joining me is a different Andre for a change. It's Andre Botha, Senior Currency Trader at TreasuryONE, joining me for update on what's happening on the markets today. So, Andre, obviously everybody's talking about not what happened in the currency market in the past week, but what happened in the retail space and the equity space. GameStop and the short squeezing that happened on GameStop, the gamma squeeze that happened because of the options that's traded, and subsequently it spilled over into the silver market as well. What is your take that we've seen, and how can that have an impact on the currency market going forward?
Yeah, it's good day, everybody. Just in terms of that, we've still seen everything that's been mostly concentrated into the equity space, but just the emergence of the retail investor has sort of put a new risk-on spin on the market. If you look at the equity markets this morning, and I think if it spills into the currency space, I think that we will see a bit of risk-on in the short term. But saying that, we also need to be well aware of what is the initial fallout of the retail investor if everything goes back to normal, or there's a squeeze on the other side. And I think then there might be a lot of risk abound, and the rand could lose some, or EM currencies for that matter, could lose some value or some risky assets in the longer term.
So basically, what we're seeing is the rand's been trading in a range for the past week or two. Every time it dips below 15, there's been a lot of buyers coming in, buying the dollar, selling the rand. And then we've seen it trade up to 15.50, 15.35. We've seen the exporters come in, sell the dollars, buy the rand again. And that's sort of the range that we've been seeing trading on. So obviously, if it continues, and you've mentioned the risk on, then probably we can see a dip below 15 to 14.80. And if we see the vice versa again, if it's been perceived as risk off, we can see it to 15.35. Do you agree with that, or what is your take on it?
Yeah, we've seen the rand and other currencies, if we can put the dollar in this as well, trade in very predefined ranges, very tight ranges, but there's a lot of volatility in those ranges, as you alluded to, in terms of there's dips below 15, then a lot of buyers comes in, if it comes up to 15.35, a lot of sellers. But my view is that the market is sort of searching for headlines at the moment. And and the risk sentiment is very volatile at the moment as well. If there's some sort of good EM news, you see the rand running hard, the dollar losing some value. And if there's some sort of risk-off event, then the opposite applies. But it stays within those previous levels that you stated. And I think we need a new driver to sort of get us into momentum and into a different direction.
Do you think that any news on the vaccine front can perhaps have an impact on this?
Yes, I think if the initial rollout that every country is promising is sort of on the same pace that they are promising, then I can see that being risk on, and we probably can see emerging market currencies benefit from that. But then in the same breath, just in a South African alone situation, if our vaccine rollout is not what we said or what we planned, then I think that we can be in a bit more difficulty, and we can decouple from other EMs and probably lose some ground in the medium to long term. But for the moment, any good news on the corona vaccine seems to be a shot in the arm, excuse the pun, for emerging market currency.
Yes, so there we have it. So for the moment, we still trade the 15 to 15.30 range. Importers, if you see anything below 15, it's a buying opportunity in the short term. Exporters, anything above 15.35, look to sell some dollars there, while we look for a new catalyst to drive us into the future. The rand still range bound, in our opinion, for the next 3 to 6 months between 15 and 16, and we certainly need a new catalyst really to get us out of those ranges. Everybody have a wonderful week, and thanks, Andre, for joining us today.
Thank you.